What's up, Madden men of the people? ZFarls here with some brand new reviews in Ultimate Team, competitive players, badge monster, and man of the month. So we'll go through those. I know a lot of you guys have those competitive badges because you watch this channel for advanced gameplay strategies, and that is what you can earn. So that's a look at the 4 options of items, and we'll go through each one and see indeed who is the best. It's Weddle, Jamal Charles, Marcel, Dareius, and Pat Pete. So Eric Weddle, we'll look at him right off the bat. 89 speed. You might think, well, he's out. He's got 89 speed. But if we look at Eric Weddle, everything else is really nice for a strong safety. We're going to dig in deep on this Weddle for 300K and see what he's all about. Now, he's a lot of badges, but 94 acceleration is going to make the 89 speed play faster. Decent strength, decent block shed, okay hit power, but his play recognition and his zone coverage are what set him apart from every other item in the game. So even though he has 89 speed, his excel will help him get to places, and his 94 play rec will help him get to places along with that zone coverage. You don't use a strong safety, so he is one really good option. I mean, this right here is the entire list of players in the game with higher than 93 play rec. Eric Weddle, one of the guys. Plus, you got a Tamba Hali in there. Well, now you're looking at a 96 play rec, Eric Weddle. He's going to not be an every team guy, but for the right type of player who just wants all-out zone coverage, or maybe you play the big dime 2-3-6 and your strong safety drops down to middle linebacker in the middle. You know, he doesn't have the big hit across, and he's not going to be good in the run game there, but he's going to be as good as a Levante David, as good as a Sean Lee, as good as a Luke Kuechly might be with 94 play rec and 94 zone coverage, plus has 89 speed. So he might be unique for that role, especially for you competitive guys. So as much as I've always been a pass on Weddle guy, I've always been a, well, Weddle kind of plays well in Madden, and I'm interested to see if this one will too. Next up, you've got Jamal Charles. Hasn't had an item in some time, so I was really interested to see what this option brought to the table. So Charles is obviously a big-time Madden guy because of his speed. He's got 92 speed here with 95 agility. That's Sean McCoy level. McCoy slightly better because he's had more items as the years have gone on. Now, no Energizer on this Charles, which, you know, it's not my favorite chemistry ability. I'm a battle-ready guy, but maybe a future milestone for the Charles. Weddle had the field general, which I like. Route running is the key. So he has route running chemistry at running back, not receiver. Here's a list of the only other players in the game who have that route running chemistry at halfback instead of receiver. And as you notice, it is all receiving backs out of the backfield. The Reggie Bushes, the Tavon Austin, best option available for the cost. You know, can I recommend you go Tavon Austin, who costs so much less, and not just go Charles? I mean, you've got to start with Tavon Austin. He's got better route running, better speed, one less agility. You've got to start there. You've got to start at Tyreek Hill and work your way up. I don't think you can jump on this Charles right away, but I do always like Charles. I think by getting a route running boost, maybe you get him up to 90. You're going to get him. There's just other guys that do his role, and I don't know if he's an every down back with the way Madden currently operates, where you want a battle ready halfback on first down to pick up a couple yards, and then you want Charles. Can you afford a 200K third down back just for receiving when you may be able to get away with Austin? 55 salary cap? I don't know. So it's up to you. I love seeing Jamal Charles, though, get an item. I'm a huge fan. I've always loved using him, and this is where that one stands. Now, badge monster Marcel Dareius, 95 strength, 95 block sheds, pre-boost. So we've seen Leonard Williams be so good for a lot of people because you boost him up. Jarrell Casey, you boost him up. This Dareius, with 78 speed and 84 excel, that's much faster than the beef guys like Brandon Williams, Dan Williams, Don Terry Poe that we talked about at D tackle being great run stoppers. They're anchors, though. Harrison, like, they're anchors. They have no speed. But this Dareius, not only does he have the strength in the block shed, he has the pursuit, the play rec, and he has speed plus ability for power moves at 89. So you can get him up to 91 potentially, 90. I love what this guy brings to the table. The problem is he's 700,000 coins. Obviously, you can get him with elite badges if you have enough. But going to be one of the best items in the game for a long time to come. And there's no denying that you could use his ratings and his chemistries to get him. I mean, if you have the other motivators in there, that's going to get you +2 block shed and +2 power move. You're at 91, 97. Ferocious. 700K is a lot for a D tackle because it's not a role I would use every down. I'd still maybe consider subbing him out on third downs. But he's an every down guy if you need him to be. But whew, that's a pricey item. I would say 300K, 350K. I love the Howie Long. I really like the way it plays. I got to see how this Dareius plays. But with those boosts, I mean, you're looking at a 90, almost a 98, 99 potential strength block shed guy. And then lastly, you get a new Man of the Month for January. Now, this does not come with team heroes, so there's no 87, 88 level team heroes for each team where you use the badges. But if you have leftover badges for your team heroes, you can look to spend them on this Patrick Peterson, or you can go back at Von Miller, Le'Veon Bell, Julio Jones, something like that, I believe. I'm not sure if you can still get those guys. But Pat Pete is the new guy. Arizona chemistry ×2. Now, Pat Pete, I was really hoping he had another chemistry that wasn't just an Arizona Cardinal chemistry. So maybe he's a future milestone guy. And until he's a milestone guy, so you can get him up to 89 play rec with Tamba, but I really want to see him at 90. Really want to see him at 90, and I think you're looking at one of the best corners in the game. But until I think you can milestone him, unless you're going to play Cardinals, I think you're in trouble. So as far as getting him to 90. But athletically, Pat Pete is always 6'1", 92 speed, 95 agility. Agility and man coverage, they work together. They're very important ratings that work in tandem. So the fact that Pat Pete has 92 man with 95 agility is going to make him one of the best man corners in the game with that speed. Plus, he has great jump, which I'm finding out is more and more important as I look at Ryan Shazier, who is a big-time option in the passing game. Lastly, 91 zone coverage is excellent. So the question becomes, well, Pat Pete, he only has 71 strength, and he has 50 block shed. 50 block shed. That is not going to be great for the run game. So if you're using a Night Train, who's very expensive, if you're using even just a Jalen Ramsey, where do you put Pat Pete? Do you put him number 1? Do you stick with Freeze Champ Bailey? Where does this guy go in your lineup? Does he become a cross-man defender? Does he become a blitzing defender? We've seen Deion Sanders start to become a blitzing defender for people because of his speed, not because of his hit power and block shed. A Night Train or a Ramsey that gets a hit on a quarterback sack when he's blitzing from the slot can force a fumble. Deion maybe not going to force a fumble, but he gets there super, super fast, can chase players away. So I know Zan from Forward Progress was looking to see if with his speed and his man coverage, mixed with agility, he could cover C routes on his own. And if Pat Pete does that, you'll see him in a lot of lineups. If he doesn't, for 47 cap, you may not see him in many salary cap lineups, but you can get a lot of value out of this guy with those athletic ratings, and I'm excited to see where he falls in. If I had to compare Peterson with other defenders and where they might go, you're going to see physically that Ramsey is the guy I would like to have be my most physical guy, Peterson be my second most physical guy, and Bailey be my third most physical. Now for the cost, it's got to be Ramsey all the way. Bailey slightly less than Peterson for now, but we'll see where that price settles out at. And then as we go down, we're going to see the speed be very similar across the board. Ramsey has a +1 advantage. Strength, Peterson's very similar to Ramsey, where this is where some of that physical rating for Bailey drops off. Agility, Pat Pete, that 95 is pretty awesome, and we want to see how he plays with it. Acceleration, slight edge to Ramsey. Now, as we go down to the key stats on defense, hit power, 90, insane. Block shedding, 71 here. I mean, these two guys are going to be potential liabilities in the run game, as they should be. They don't have the best block shed. Play rec, Champ is up over 90. You got to find a way to maybe get Pat Pete there, but you don't want to have to force yourself to play Cardinals in your lineup just to get it. So we'll have to see if that milestone happens. And then lastly, man coverage. Champ's your guy if you want all-out man. Zone, it's still kind of Champ. He's the best coverage guy of the bunch. Pat Pete's the best balance. Ramsey is almost a different style with his pursuit, his physicality, and he's good enough to play across the board. If you're playing the Emerson or you're playing the Butler, you got this guy up over 90, and I like what he brings to the table. So those are the guys I would consider against Pat Peterson. I'm trying to think of any other corners. You know, there's some really inexpensive corners that came out a little while ago that also aren't that physical but have that above 90s coverage. So, you know, if we were to sort right now by 90 speed and then in either 90 man or 90 zone, the list is starting to get longer than you would think. So you got to take into account the overall value and the exact role you're trying to find from that CB position and just who makes sense in your lineup, in your role. Are you going to keep Night Train in the slot for that blitz? Or now that you found out Dion's that much faster, is that the guy you want, but you might not get the fumbles? But Dion's good in the slot as a cross man, but Dion can't play as good run defense out there solo, but it's all kind of a game of moving guys around depending exactly on your defense. That's what makes Mutt so great. But those are the factors I would consider. I do really like this Pat Pete, and Pat Pete for me in general has always been a baller, right up there, making some spectacular catches every now and then. Champ's been good so far. Ramsey, Lane, though, been great. Dion, haven't noticed them, and that's always a good thing at the CB position. So we'll look to get a review up of Peterson if we can. And until next time, guys, enjoy this review. Lock up. Let me know who you're thinking about in the chat. And we'll see you for This Week in Madden every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock.